what you're seeing happening on the planet right now is a massive shift in consciousness and awakening to the fact that life is inherently uncertain, and that living in the unknown is something that each human being needs to accept. And whether people are ready for this or not, it's already happening. Now, the one thing I want to share with you is that the new earth is not something that happens one day in the future. It doesn't happen one day in the future. It happens right here, right now, in this present moment, because this is the only moment that exists. There's no other moment than this moment now. And that's what this awakening is about. This is what's happening on the planet. People are realizing the truth of where we all come from, the fact that we are all one, the fact that we are all connected, the fact that this is the only moment that exists, and that each moment needs to be cherished, because each moment is sacred. Okay, there's a sacredness to each moment, and that is what is happening now. So the new earth is happening right now in front of your eyes. The new earth is not happening in the future. The new earth is not happening one day. It is happening now. There is a great awakening happening. This is a beautiful opportunity to go deeper. This is a beautiful opportunity to see the truth deeper, or see the truth maybe for the first time. Either way, the truth is going deeper into the planet. Now, if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, because I do post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one to let go of your ego, reprogram your subconscious mind for success so you can live the life that you really want, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation to see if you're a good fit for the coaching program. So what you're seeing right now on the planet is a massive shift in consciousness. I'm sure you can feel it. Okay, every single person watching this did not come here by accident. And there's a shift in consciousness happening. Now, whether you're conscious of it or not, it is happening. And the thing is that awakening happens whether the ego is ready for it or not. In fact, that's the only way for awakening to happen, is usually when the ego is not ready. The ego is going to resist. The ego is going to say, I don't want this to be happening. The ego is going to say, I'm not ready for this. The ego is going to say, this shouldn't be happening. But the thing is that that's not how awakening works. How awakening really works is that the uncertainty of life gets pushed onto you, whether you bring that uncertainty by wanting to go into that uncertainty, or life will show you that nothing is solid, and now you're forced to wake up. And that's kind of what's happening on the planet right now, is people are forced to wake up to who they are. Some people are more ready, some people aren't, but there's a shift in consciousness happening right now. That's just the truth. That's just the truth. It's almost like there's an energetic light being beamed into the earth. That's the best way I can explain it, using language at least, because this is not an external transformation. A shift in consciousness is internal. So it can't be like, hey, all these external things in the world are going to happen. I'm saying that there's an internal shift happening that is manifesting as external systems breaking down, but it's an internal awakening. It's not that anything external is really changing. It's that there's an internal consciousness shift where you become aware of consciousness. So in other words, you become conscious of the fact that you are consciousness. But when that happens, that brings a certain energy to the external world as well. So this shift in consciousness that's happening at an internal level is now showing itself externally as well. And it's always been that way, but now it's happening at a collective level. That's how it is. When you start to awaken to who you really are at the internal level, you have that internal shift in your energy. It starts to change the way that you speak. It starts to change the way that you act. It starts to change the way that you live your life and what you do on a daily basis. And when that happens across the whole globe, that means that systems break down. Now, what does that mean at an exact, tangible level? I can't share that with you. But what I can share with you is that systems are breaking down. And what that really means at an internal level is that the ego construct is breaking down. How that manifests as an external reality on this globe? I can't say for sure. And if I was to stand here and tell you that I do know what that looks like, I would be lying to you. That wouldn't be the truth. But the truth is that there's an internal shift happening. This means that people are questioning, the government. People are questioning the way things have been orchestrated on the planet. Like, why is everything on the news so negative? People are realizing, like, wait a second, all these things happening on the news are being blown out of proportion. All these things happening on the media are not the entire truth. When you have this whole pandemic happening and then people question these little things, that starts to bring questioning also to who you really are, because you're thinking, who's controlling all this? And I'm not saying this from a conspiracy theory perspective. I'm saying that when you start to see that everything on the news is negative, you start to question why. Why is that the case? Why is everything on the news negative, right? And then when many, many people across the globe start to wake up to that, it starts to change your consciousness as well, right? The news is a half-truth. They don't share the entire truth with you. Maybe some of the things on the news might be true, maybe they're not. But there's also things that are true that are not being shared on the news, like all the positive things happening. Everything that's happening on the news is just to bring more fear into your life. And more people are realizing that fear is controlling them. That fear is controlling them. It might not even be that people specifically are on the news trying to manipulate other people. That could be the case, but it could also be the case that the ego is manipulating itself because the ego thrives off of fear. You see, the interesting thing about fear is that if you ask any single person, do you want to live in suffering? Do you want to live in resistance? Do you want to be angry? Do you want to be fearful? Every single human being will say, no, I don't. But if you watch the actions of the ego doesn't actually show that in the way that it lives. The ego loves to argue. The ego loves to do things. The ego loves fear. People love to click on the news and look at fearful articles. It loves that. It gets a high off of that. It gets a dopamine rush off of that. And people are starting to realize, wait, why do I like fear so much? Why do I enjoy this fear so much? What's really going on here? And that can also bring a shift in consciousness to who you really are, because fear is the number one thing that controls us. Okay? Maybe not somebody out there doing it intentionally, but it does control you. That is for certain. I'm not going to stand here and tell you that I know that somebody's out there trying to control us with fear. That could be the case, but it also could not be the case. I don't know. I do know that fear controls your life. Fear keeps you stuck in your life. Fear keeps you not taking the actions you know you should be taking. And that's what this awakening is about, is realizing that fear doesn't have to control you anymore. You can speak your truth even if you don't feel like sharing it. You can share how you feel. You can be the full embodiment of who you really are without being scared. You can do those things that you want to do. Because when you have all these people self-isolating, you begin to have a shift in consciousness. That's how it happens. Think about this right now. Never on the planet before have so many human beings been isolated all together at the same time. It has never happened before in this way, at least as far as I know. Maybe something else happened in history, let me know. But this has never happened before, and this is absolutely huge. I'm not saying that there's some universal story that created this and it was pre-planned. Could be the case. Could be the case. I'm not here to stand here and say that's not the case. Okay, because I don't really know. But it's important to accept the fact that this is a beautiful opportunity to awaken. Even if the person doesn't take it as an opportunity, the fact that every single person is together, isolating themselves, that is bringing an awakening. Think about that for a second. Think about how powerful that is. That means that people are automatically going to question their realities more. They're going to question things more. Now you got to realize that right now at this time, it's very, very critical that you're present to the moment. Not that you sell your perspective to people. If you've been following my channel for a while, I want you to remember that right now it's very, very critical that you are not selling a perspective on why people shouldn't be in fear, but you are simply being the full embodiment of who you are and showing that you're not scared. Because fear doesn't have to control us, but you don't tell people that. Okay, in this case, I'm telling you that. But I don't always tell people that. Other times, I just am who I am. And when you are who you are, that has more impact than selling a perspective, telling people why they shouldn't be in fear. If you tell people why they shouldn't be in fear, then that's not going to work. You need to be an example. Be an example that living in fear is not needed. Live by example that being present to the moment is the key. Live by example that fear is controlling us. Don't sell people your perspective. Don't tell people why they shouldn't be in fear. Be the highest version of you that's not living in fear, and that is going to have more of an impact on the planet than telling people why they shouldn't be in fear. Right now I'm telling you shouldn't be in fear. Don't live in fear. Let love guide you, not fear. But that's because this is what the present moment brought me to share with you in front of this camera. Other times, I'm not saying anything. I don't tell my family why they shouldn't live in fear. I don't tell people why they shouldn't live in fear. I just am, and I show up in the world. You see, who you are being has much more of an impact than what you say. How you show up in the world has much more of an impact than what you say. Who you are at the core as a consciousness, having a spiritual experience temporarily as a human, shows much more than what you say. And the key right now is to be present to the moment, not telling people to be present to the moment. Maybe as you're being, you tell people to be present to the moment, but prioritize the being state. This is how you bring people up to your level. This is why this happened in the first place, is because enough people brought other people to that level. You have to show up in the world in a way that pulls people up to your energy. You have to show up in the world in a way that pulls people up to your energy. So it's not like you're telling them what to do. You're being who you are, and then they get pulled up to your energy. That's the key, right? Because not a lot of people are going to understand. You don't tell, some people don't want to hear what you have to say. You just have to be that greatest version. And then as you're being, that actually pulls people energetically into your frame. Because like the people say all the time, you are the star of your own movie. And what you need to do is be that. Be the star of your own movie. Be the highest version of you. Be the highest embodiment of your self-love, and be that fully. And when you be that fully, that's what pulls people in. Okay, if you're watching this video, if you're watching my channel, it's very, very critical for you to just be present to the moment. Don't tell people to be present to the moment, just be present to the moment. You have to realize that you need to pull people into your frame. Your frame is what pulls people in. Now, for anybody watching this that is resisting what's happening, thinking this shouldn't be happening, why is this happening? I want you to remember that, once again, nothing happens to you, but it happens for you. And what's happening on the planet right now, just let it unfold. Let it unfold. Because when you let it unfold, you release resistance. And you got to remember, the only thing that creates resistance is the ego. Let the universe unfold itself. All of this is going to pass. And I'm not saying that just because that's the cliche thing to say. Literally, this too shall pass. Okay, just remember that in these times. This too shall pass. And everything else will pass too. Even the so-called good moments, and also the so-called bad moments that the ego labels. You have to realize that the ego creates resistance and it labels everything. Just allow the universe to unfold. Allow your life to unfold. Just be present. Let things go where they need to go. It's not your job as the ego to figure everything out and how it goes. It's not your job, as the ego, to logically figure out how it's going to be. Once again, to go back full circle, life is uncertain. Let the uncertainty just be. Let the universe unfold. Be present at the moment. There's not much more you can do. Let love guide you, not fear. Now, what does that mean at a tangible level? That means be present to the moment. Connect deeply to the present moment. Let the universe unfold. Just let it unfold. Just let go. Anybody watching this right now and you're resisting, just let go. Okay, just let go. It's that easy. Thinking, how do I let go, Francis? Just let go. It's not that hard. The ego thinks, how do I let go? Your higher self becomes present and just lets go. Okay, best piece of advice I can give you, notice your breath right now. Okay, become conscious, be present, be here now. What I want you to understand before I close off this video is that life is uncertain, okay? Life is uncertain, and there's always two paths you can take. You can take the path of love, you can take the path of consciousness, you can take the path of following your highest vision, or you can live in fear. So you can live, I'm not gonna do this because I'm scared of this. Or what if this doesn't work out? I'm not gonna do that because that's not gonna work out. What about that? What are people gonna think of me? You can go on either path. You gotta realize, follow the path of love. Follow the path of light. Follow the path of consciousness. And guess what? When you follow that path, it is going to be uncertain. But you got to realize, even in that path, that's uncertain too. It's just the ego has a false illusion of security that does not exist. And that is the truth. Security doesn't exist. Nothing is solid, and that's what this awakening is making everyone realize, is that nothing is solid. And that may seem disempowering, but believe me, that is the most empowering thing you can learn, is that nothing is solid and then everything is temporary. The ego thinks that's not empowering until it finally surrenders and realizes power is not about controlling the external world. Power is not about being certain and knowing everything. Power is accepting uncertainty, being comfortable with the unknown. That is power. Being in your power is not about controlling the external world. The more that you try to control the external world, that's what actually keeps you stuck. That is what keeps you in resistance. I'm not saying you can't influence the external world. In fact, the more that you let go of the ego and accept this moment as it is, that's when you can change and influence the external world in a very powerful way, but not with your ego. That's what happens when you let your higher self take control of the wheel. Let it go on autopilot, but not in an unconscious way. Conscious autopilot. Okay? Conscious autopilot. Be conscious, let your higher self flow. Be on autopilot, but consciously. Okay? That's a beautiful insight right there. Conscious autopilot. My mentor taught me that. So, I'm going to close up there. Just remember that everything is uncertain. That's what I want you to remember. If you take one thing from this video, I know this video is a little bit all over the place, but I want you to remember that everything is uncertain, and that is what this awakening is. When I started to accept that life is uncertain and I let the universe guide me into that uncertainty, everything started to manifest. Everything, all the money that I wanted, the relationships, not to say that I've manifested everything that I want, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the uncertainty of life. I'm okay that I don't know what this moment's gonna bring. In fact, that's a beautiful thing. That's the beauty of life, is that we don't know. If you're really honest with yourself, you don't know. You don't know what the future brings. That is okay. I want you to try and exercise right now. Notice your breath and just be okay that you have no idea what the universe brings. Can you just be okay with that? Can you be okay with the fact that you don't know? Now, the ego might resist that. The ego, that's a natural part of the ego, to want to know everything. But can you just accept that you don't know what the universe brings? That you don't know what's going to happen in the future, how all this is going to turn out? Can you accept that you don't know how the manifestation is going to come that you want? Can you accept that you don't know how the unfoldment of your life is going to happen? Can you just be present to the moment, let go of your ego, and accept the uncertainty and feel the peace that comes from that? Just not knowing. The peace that comes from not knowing is exactly the peace that we're all headed towards, but temporarily it's manifesting as lots of chaos and, a lot of people freaking out thinking that everything's going wrong, when the truth is that life always goes wrong. But the only thing that makes it a problem is the ego and the internal resistance. And when you release those resistances, life becomes peaceful. It's not like things haven't been going wrong in the world already. It's not like things haven't been collapsing since the beginning of the universe. It's just that now people are conscious of that. Do you see what I'm saying? Things have already been collapsing and going wrong since the beginning of time. Now people are just becoming conscious of that. That's the difference. We're just realizing what this truth is. Whereas before, we were unconscious of it. There was an illusion of security and solidity that does not exist. Once again, I want to conclude this video and share with you that life is uncertain, and that's all I have for this video. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one to let go of your ego, reprogram your subconscious mind so you can align with your life purpose and what it is that you're truly meant to be doing on this planet at this time, hit the link that's in the description box of this video to apply for a free consultation to see if you're a good fit for the coaching program. Have yourself a great day as always, and I'll see you in the next video.